India is in safe hands because the Indian military is one of the most professional in the world. And on the back of what happened in the Galwan Valley a few days ago, the Indian military has been given full powers to respond in any manner that it chooses fit to any provocations from the Chinese anywhere, not just in Ladakh, but anywhere along the line of actual control and international border, be it in Ladakh or in Sikkim or in Arunachal or in Uttarakhand. Well, today over Ladakh, there has been a big military joint coordination exercise. We're not going to show you any pictures that gives away any military movements, but this is to tell you that the Indian armed forces are fully ready.
With a huge roar, the Su-30 MKI takes off from the Kushok Bakula Rinpoche airfield at Leh at an altitude of approximately 11,500 feet. The air dominance fighter, capable of carrying up to 10 tons of weapons, majestically circles the Leh city before soaring into the clear blue sky to scan beyond the horizon and protect India's skies from any aerial aggression. Underneath its umbrella of protection, the twin rotors of the Chinook heavy lift transport helicopters thunder in the sky as they swiftly transport men and material from one area to the other. The Indian Air Force and Army are carrying out joint exercise in the high altitude sector to quickly transport men and material, equipment and warlike stores including arms and ammunition from one part of Ladakh to another.
Our deployments, the people who have been sent there, would be getting acclimatized to flying in those areas, in doing coordination with the army, that is the ground troops, and they would be coming up to speed with the peculiarities of operating at those high altitudes.
The Indian Air Force has activated a number of airfields in Ladakh, Jammu and Kashmir, Punjab and Haryana for this exercise. The C-130J Hercules and the Warhorse of Indian Air Force Transport Fleet AN-32, along with heavy lift IL-76 and C-17 Globemaster Fleet, are also part of the extended exercise and operational deployment. The IAF and Army are carrying out this joint exercise to validate concepts of swift deployment, extraction and counter-deployment in different areas of operation. The aim is also to check the efficacy of plans on ground.
While we do not know and we should not know what are the plans, some aspects of how we go about or how we plan to go about tackling the Chinese threat would be getting practiced.
The Indian Army is also robustly deployed along the 830-kilometer long India-China LAC, and the current exercise will enable commanders to quickly move men and material in areas that are required.
Whether it's the Su-30 MKIs, the Mirage 2000, the MiG-29 air superiority fighters providing an envelope of security all across while troop movement takes place. So airfields not just in Ladakh but other parts close to Ladakh have also been activated for this exercise that's currently underway.
With Gaurav Sawant in Leh, Bureau Report, India Today.
Now, I want to make it very clear to our viewers that we are not showing any live images, any images that give away any locations. We're being very careful in our reporting here from Ladakh, from Delhi and elsewhere. Joining me live from Leh, Ladakh is Gaurav Sawant, India Today's senior executive editor. Also with us is our defense editor, Abhishek Bhalla, reporting from Delhi. Gaurav, coming to you first. An exercise, a military drill, matter of routine, but very much important in the current circumstances, a demonstration of strength, and to people watching, a reassurance that India is in safe hands with its military.
Shiv, you're absolutely right. India is in safe hands as far as commanders on ground are concerned. This is validation of concepts. This is validation of quick mobilization of troops, men, material, whatever may be required in different theaters. Of course, this exercise, for the benefit of our viewers, I must say, was carried out in the depth areas. But all along the 830-kilometer long line of actual control between India and China, the situation remains very grim.
Yes.
From Chumar, Demchok to Galwan, Pangong So to Hot Springs and then to Depsang. And we'll be talking about that in greater detail. The treacherous Chinese adversary just cannot be trusted, and that is why battle-hardened, high-altitude, acclimatized troops can quickly be moved from one area to the other. Is the effort as part of this exercise where the Army and the Air Force are also operating together. And look at the technology that India is using. Shiv, you have your Su-30 MKIs. Should the need be, there, they have the BrahMos supersonic cruise missile that can hit a target more than 300 kilometers away. Of course, they've been deployed in Thanjavur. They can be deployed elsewhere. You also have the Chinook helicopters, and it's so fascinating to see these twin rotor helicopters quickly take men and material from one part to the other. And what you also know, Shiv, the Apaches, the tank hunters, they've also been deployed, and that sends out a very clear signal, a very clear intent that India will protect every inch of her territory, Shiv.
All inches of India's territory will be protected against an uncertain adversary. Abhishek Bhalla, defense editor, who will be headed to Leh, Ladakh in a very short while from now to join Gaurav there to increase our reporting on this important number one priority story for India today, is also with me. Abhishek, military drills are a routine thing. We see them all the time, and we are not showing any sensitive images. But explain to our viewers why this is important. There is an element of force projection also. It's not just about coordinating. Gaurav is right. There is also an element of establishing presence and projecting power against the adversary.
Definitely, Shiv. And while the Chinese are extremely good at mind games, so that at least they think so, but as far as the Indian response is concerned, we need to be battle ready. That's number one. And number two, we need to ensure that, all those who have to respond, if the need arises, they are in complete readiness. We've heard from multiple sources saying that the Indian military is in a state of heightened alert, operational ready. So that's exactly what we are seeing. This is a demonstration, a representation of what operational readiness is. If required, in very quick time, men and material can be transported to extremely, tough areas, to that treacherous terrain. If required, mobilization can happen in a very smooth manner. All of this demonstrating that very clearly, Shiv, because the situation on the line of actual control is such that there has been massive troop deployment on both the sides. And obviously, while we are talking disengagement over the last few days, but nothing of that sort has been seen on the ground, with the Chinese making forays into more areas of eastern Ladakh. And that's the reason why that an Indian response is, being prepared in case required. Our army, our air force is battle ready.
As you can see, the Indian Air Force, the Indian Army, fully prepared for all eventualities. Let there be no doubts in any Indian's mind that we have the most professional military in the world. They will do what they can. They will do what they must. There is very much that we are not showing you, and there is very much that you will never see. But those preparations are definitely happening. Gaurav and Abhishek, stay with me. India today has also accessed eye-opening high-resolution satellite images from the Pangong So area in Ladakh. On your screens in a moment is proof of the constant Chinese build-up in eastern Ladakh. Satellite images now showing Chinese tents and boats in Pangong So's Finger 4 to Finger 8 areas. You've seen images like these before, but never at this resolution. Many Chinese utility vehicles can be seen rumbling along the Pangong shore in an attempt to overwhelm. These images are from June the 12th, just days before the face-off in Galwan to the north. These images, accessed by India Today from Planet Labs, reveal the extent of the Chinese challenge faced by Indian armed forces in this critical area, the Finger 4 area of the beautiful Pangong So sector. I want to go quickly across to India Today's news director, Rahul Kaval, who's with us for this story. Rahul, very important clear images, the clearest we've seen so far of this Chinese buildup. Much has been reported and said about the actual mobilization by the Chinese, but these images that you and your team have accessed show it in greater detail than ever before.
Shiv, what we put out so far was just a broad overview of what those pictures have shown. But what we've been able to do for your viewers on 5 Live is actually put them on a sequential timeline and explain how between the 27th of May and the 12th of June, those are the 2 dates for which we have satellite pictures, the situation on the ground has altered completely. Remember, this is the Pangong Lake, and the area marked out in red is have 2 pictures. Now you'll have to bear with me and listen very carefully to everything that I say to be able to understand what we're talking about. Now this is the disputed area. This purple line represents the Indian perception of the line of control. This purple line represents the Chinese perception of the line of control. A lot of the build-up that we'll show you currently is in the Finger 4 area. And, you know, the picture speaks for itself. There's no sources involved. There is no he said, she said. Just look at this one map to understand what you will see. There are 2 pictures accessed by the India Today open source intelligence desk from a renowned international satellite imagery company called Planet Labs. The first picture, which was taken on the 27th of May, covers this entire rectangle. This entire red rectangle is where the first image is from. The second image is from just the yellow square. So the second image from the 12th of June is from this yellow square. The area I've marked out in red is what we'll show our viewers, because there we'll put those 2 images next to each other to show you what these places look like on the 27th, what they look like on the 12th of June. So let's show you just the first picture. Remember, this is 1.5 GB high resolution satellite imagery. This is the overall picture. By itself you can't tell very much, Shiv, but as we start zooming in, and it will become clear to our viewers the extent of the Chinese build-up. Remember, this is from the 27th of May, and you see some build-up, but it isn't a very substantial build-up. There are some vehicles that can be seen, there are some tents that can be seen, but it's a marginal build-up at best. Remember, this is from the 27th of May 2020. I now come to the next picture, and I'll zoom in again to show you exactly the same place and what you can see this time round. Now you see they've brought in there's a boat shed which wasn't there on the 27th. You can see those 2 boats, you can see the jetty, you see a bigger network of roads, and you see far more tents. Now these pink tents are very clearly Chinese tents. There are some prefabricated huts. There are some vehicles that can be seen as well. So there's a whole slew of vehicles. There are some tents that can be seen, and they've built some fences as well. This is in the beach area, which has been the site of confrontation between the Indian and Chinese armies in the years gone by. So I've now put those 2 pictures, and this is the first time we're putting it out on 5 Live for our viewers sequentially. Now if you see, this is from the 27th of May. You do see a Chinese build-up, but a marginal build-up. Here are Chinese vehicles marked out in these red circles. In these other circles as well, there are Chinese tents and vehicles. The 12th of June, and what you see here are more boats. You see boats, you see more tents and vehicles, and you see another whole host of vehicles over there. That's just the first comparison that we did for our viewers. I'll show you one more comparison. This was the beach area. From the beach area, I'll now go slightly further up. Now if you see here, now just come closer. I want you to come closer so that you can see for yourself. All these pink structures you see are Chinese tents. So you see here, there are Chinese tents on the 27th of May 2020, but there aren't those many of them. You can see the extent of deployment. Now come to the right side of the screen in exactly the same area. So painstakingly we've gone sector by sector in this image and marked out exactly the same area, and look at the intensity of the build-up now. They've brought in more troops, they brought in more vehicles, they brought in reinforcements. This part is from the 6th of June. Exactly the same image is from the 27th of May. DOI means date of imagery, so it's Planet Labs, date of imagery, 27 May 2020. It shows marginal presence here, far more substantial presence here in this image. And remember, these are the 2 pictures which are from those 2 large high-resolution pictures that I showed you. This from the 27th of May, and the next picture is from the 6th of June. That's not all. I want to show you what some of those look like. Again, we're doing this for the first time. What we've done is we've been able to access what some of those boats look like in one of the deployments just east of Finger 8. But before that, I want to show Shiv to your viewers. They've got a map of China. If you see, just come in close so you can see. In Mandarin, they've written out China to establish the, and they've actually got here in the corner a map of China. It's in this part. It's in this part between Finger 5 and 6. You see some tents here, and anybody who's been to an army camp will tell you that, you typically tend to have these things, but to establish, and this is not Chinese territory, but to try and lay a claim to this disputed land, they've got a China map there, they've got Chinese tents there, and in Mandarin they've written China. Now, what does that jetty look like, and what do these boats look like? So we've pulled out from CCTV in China 4 sets of pictures to give our viewers a sense of what their boats look like. This is the first picture I want to show you. It's a Chinese high-speed motorboat. It's not as if the Chinese are the only ones who have this. We have powerful motorboats as well. We want to give our viewers some context of what the Chinese boats look like. So this is just east of Finger 8. 4 pictures for the first time on TV, which give our viewers a sense of what those motorboats that have been deployed, which I showed you on the map, what they look like. Remember, these are the boats that I was talking about. If you actually go back to the high-resolution picture, you can see in the jetty where those boats are deployed. Here, just bear with me for a second. It's heavy because 1.5 GB. I didn't want to reduce the resolution so that Shiv, your viewers can see as best as is possible. I'll try and zoom in to show you those boats now on this map. Here you go. There you go. So you see the Chinese boat there, and you see the deployment that's been done, and then I showed you what that boat looks like. Okay, here you go. Now you can see it. Can our camera person come close? That's the jetty. That's the boat that's put out over there. These are reference pictures for what these boats look like. Now I want to show you roughly what those boats look like in the next image that we've just put out for our viewers. Here you go. 4 images. The jetty from where their boats can take off and be docked. The Chinese high-speed motorboats, which, because of how tough the terrain is, it's sometimes easier to be in the water and move forces at greater speed and then deploy them on the beachhead. Now what I want to do is show you what's happening on the ridge tops. Now remember, in any military deployment, whoever controls the mountain tops is the one that is in the advantage, because if you're down below, it's easy to be dominated by the army that sits on the ridge top. So I'll show you what's on top. So you've actually got Indian tracks going all the way up. So if anybody thinks India is just laying back, playing dead and allowing the Chinese to come in, that's not the case. There are Indian tracks going up very clearly. Extensive Indian deployment. We see a Sangar there as well, an Indian stone wall that's been built. And there's a strong Indian deployment which can be seen as well. So nobody should for a second think that India isn't trying to compete with the Chinese, or that the Chinese are just coming in and the army's playing dead. It's not. It's very heavily deployed, extensive deployment on the ground. In fact, if I show you some pictures here, Shiv, you will see the extent of, and I don't want to dwell too much on what the army is doing, because really it's for the Indian army to do that. But I just want to give viewers a sense of confidence and assurance that the Indian army is actively deployed just in the way that the Chinese is. And I'll just show you one position where you can see very clearly extensive deployment in these green prefabricated huts which have been put out here and here. The Indian army also extensively deployed, and fortunately they've got motorable tracks as well coming all the way. So there's extensive deployment, and any maneuver by the Chinese will be countered and countered very strongly. But it's a tense situation. It's a situation everyone's hoping will de-escalate. But at this moment, from these satellite images, it's very clear that it's a very, very tense and tricky situation in that area from Finger 4 to...
Rahul, incredible detail there by our team putting those images together. I certainly haven't seen images of that detail, and ending there with that very critical assurance that the Indian Army is fully prepared. In fact, I'm going to get you a news update on that front as well in just a moment. Rahul Kaval and our entire team will continue to bring you the very latest, and remember, it will always be sensitively reported. You do not have to worry. We know what we're doing. We will never give away sensitive information to the adversary.
Hi everyone, Preeti Chaudhary here. Hope you like this video. For latest news and analysis, like and subscribe to the India Today YouTube channel. And don't forget to press the bell icon to stay updated. Thank you for watching.